All I wanted was some sharks with freaking lasers on their heads. Come on, throw me a bone here. Am I right, Professor Scaramouche? Hmm? Yes? No?
Okay, so today's topic is going to be criticism of Pope Francis's visit. Okay, the reason that Pope Francis is wrong. First of all, let's go back to the. I'm including a link in this video to um, the Dove release of Pope Francis, in which he was trying to invoke a year of peace a year ago, a couple of years ago. I write as Rabbi Balshiva on certain occult topics, and I deconstructed the meaning of that. Um, so the issue with what Pope Francis is doing is saying is Jesus taught a philoish, which is a philosophical brotherhood, which means that the rules that apply to people inside your philosophical brotherhood do not apply to people outside of your philosophical brotherhood. So what he's doing is he's asking for mercy and charity for people inside of his own philosophical brotherhood from the resources of people outside of his philosophical brotherhood. Now, from the ancient perspective, there were three types of authority: one representing the Father, one representing the Mother or the Holy Spirit, and the other representing the child, which was based on superego, ego, and it. So you have the authority of reason, which represents the Father, the authority of mercy and charity, which represents the Mother, and the authority of violence, coercive authority and or action, which represents the child. Now, when the feminine aspect is imbalanced, it argues for mercy and charity for the undeserving child. And it is a way in which the corrupt feminine principle usurps the authority of reason by expanding its own personal authority beyond reason, which, if you examine what Pope Francis is doing, that's what he's doing. Um, let's say that Pope Francis wants to raise the poor up. From where to where, in comparison to whom, and using whose resources. It would be fine if he was using his own money and risking his own reputation, but that's not the case, is it? He wants us to use our resources to raise them up to our level of equality without understanding or embracing our way of life. And we'll get into why this is important later. So, I don't see a comprehensive plan for how this is going to benefit us, financially speaking. I don't see a financial plan. I see an emotional appeal and the hope that God, in some form, which obviously Pope Francis doesn't understand, is going to interject himself, and somehow magically we are going to it's going to work out. But the problem is that the authority of reason already determines how much mercy is affordable and warranted. So when the authority of mercy and charity usurps the authority of reason, going beyond the bounds of what's affordable. Now, the reason that this is being allowed, the reason that Obama wants it to happen, is because it's all part of his plan to socialize America and um, bankrupt America with welfare leeches, especially Muslim welfare leeches. They have a plan. This is all part of their plan, and they have a plan for breaking down cultures, especially Western civilization, which is antithetical to their way of life, by sucking the money out of the economy and the government. And they're doing this consistently all over Western Europe. They do it with vexatious litigations from lawyers, and then they have a strategy for gaming the Western mind with its feminine bias, which predisposes itself towards mercy and charity. If you argue for mercy and charity, people categorize you as a moral authority, harmless and feminine and good. So they don't suspect you and they think that you're holy. It's pretty funny. Now, the reason this goes hand in hand with what's happening right now with Obama's agenda is that Obama is most likely secretly responsible for helping to create ISIS in order to combat Assad in Syria, which is creating Syrian refugee crisis. So he's burning the candle at both ends. And it's fascinating how these people are so easily distracted. The Pope is no longer doing anything about prosecuting pedophiles inside the Catholic Church. This is a way that they're distracting everybody from Obama's problems and the Pope's problems. Now, Adolf Hitler created the Blitzkrieg warfare, which is what ISIS is using right now, because he knew that France and Britain were socializing. So he was betting that they would not have the money, and while they would complain, they would not respond. Now, Hitler was bent on global domination, which means that as he grabbed more land, he would have more resources in order to wage more war, because Germany has a relatively small land mass and therefore finite resources. If he had more land, he would have more resources to wage more war, which is what ISIS is doing. So not only is he partially responsible, most likely in a secret way, for their creation, he's also complicit in maintaining their existence. He tells Congress, if you write a law that allows me to go to war with ISIS, but you don't include a clause that says if they cross this border, I cannot and will not pursue them, then your law has earned my veto. Now, in this way, what he's doing is he's telegraphing to ISIS. As soon as the law is written and passed, ISIS knows which border it has to cross in order to survive. Yeah. On a final note, I heard somebody saying that Ann Coulter had released her venom on the Pope after attacking Jews. And I would like to say that when Ann Coulter tweeted, "How many fucking Jews do you think we have in this country?" she wasn't insulting or attacking Jews. She was confronting arguments that conflate anybody who is for the survival of Israel with being a Zionist Jew and being part of a Zionist agenda, which I get all of the time, and I'm not Jewish. So I understand where she's coming from with that. Thank you for tuning in to this critique of Pope Francis's. Don't forget to check out the link below. And yes, if you would like to donate to my cause, my continued work, it would take $1 million, please.